Hi, I'm Richard, and in today's tutorial we'll be having a go at the Maurer Rose algorithm. So let's get started. Hi and thanks for watching. Today we're going to be talking about an algorithm called the Maurer Rose algorithm. Here it is in action. It's really rather cool. It's based on a few sets of very simple rules, and by changing a couple of the numeric values in there, so if we just set that to say 17 or something like that, you can get a variety of different results. You can see some very cool indeed. These two values here. So I think this works best if D is a prime number. Just picking sort of right there you go. How cool is that? I don't know what's it. Looks like it's going to create a couple of squares. There we go. Very cool. So you can see there's all sorts of different elaborate designs that you can create. It reminds me of the old spirographs. If those of you that might be old enough to remember spirographs, do let me know via the comments if you do know those. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to be pretty simple to do. There's a few things we need to embrace around drawing lines, but we can tackle that as we go. Let's just have a little look at the guy here. Here he is. This is the guy, Peter Maurer. I think he's actually Professor Maurer now. Worked at Bell Labs, AT&T Bell Labs, when he came up with this kind of design here to say, well, if we do this, we can create some really cool looking shapes. I don't know what he was doing at Bell Labs that would let him do that, but now he, I think he sits as a professor. Seems like a very pretty cool guy. Just carrying on. So good on him for doing that. And he's left us with this very simple set of rules. He wrote a paper in let me just find it. Hang on a second. It's back here. Here it is in 1987, and this is what we're going to be working to. And here is the basic algorithm that we're going to do here. Okay, when you see this little symbol here, this symbol here is nothing to panic about. It just means angle. Okay, it's called theta. At least I've been calling it theta. I think that's the common name for it. And when you see that, it refers to the angle. Okay, so we've got a couple of variables called n and d, and they both need to be between 1 and 359. Okay, we're going to have this theta here. We're going to increase it by, I think, by d, making sure that it's never greater than 360. Okay, we can talk about mod. I'm going to try and talk, fairly. It's going to be a pretty basic tutorial because I appreciate some of you might be coming in this a little bit fresh. I know this it's a little bit of a fiddly tutorial for those that are maybe not mathematically minded, but that's absolutely fine. I'll try and take it slowly, and we'll see how we go. Yeah, no doubt I'll take it too slowly and make a few mistakes myself, so that should give you an idea of where we're going to go. And then once we're finished, we'll add some extra sort of Unity based stuff to allow us to change this stuff on the fly. We'll enter them in manually at the start, but then once we're happy it's working, we'll give the user the ability to change the values. And I think what we will probably do is deploy this to a website, so we can use the WebGL plugin to do that, and that'll mean that you can show off your work to your best mates and whoever else might want to be interested in them. I hope you get a chance to do that. I'd love to hear some of the feedback. So let's get started. Let's not hang about. Now, first things first, this is Unity. I know that, again, I'm coming in with this a little bit fresh, so if you don't know what Unity is, it's a 3D games engine. I'm going to call it a games engine. I don't think that's too far a stretch. I mean, some people might say it could be used for other stuff, and indeed we are today, but I think at its heart it's a games engine. Absolutely superb, effectively free unless you start making hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, in which case you've got to pay them, but I would have thought in which case you probably would not mind. So it's going to be our tool for today. You're welcome to use other tools. The maths holds up for any tool where you can draw lines on a grid, on an XY grid. So let's just start this. Okay, we're going to be creating a 2D project. I started looking at doing it in 3D, never really got any traction. I was going to try and do something funky, but couldn't manage to do it. So we're going to go for a 2D project today. We'll call it Maurer Rose. Okay, let's then click on Create Project. Let's let it do its thing. I'll pause and come back when it started. Okay, and here we are with a nice, clean, fresh new project. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our canvas that we're going to be drawing on. I'm going to call it a canvas. That's completely the wrong word to use because a canvas is used for the user interface buttons and what have you. So I won't call it a canvas. We'll just call it a texture to draw on. Okay, so let's start off with that. So what we'll do is we'll just right-click here and do Create 3D Object Quad. Okay, and you can see that's quite small, but it is there. We'll just if we go over here, we'll do a couple of things. If we click on the camera, and then we'll just make that, I think, funnily enough, 0.5 is the size for the camera. And then what we can also do is if we just drag this to the left, just to get it on one side. I think was it 0.39 seemed to be the right value there. So we've got ourselves a canvas over there that I keep saying canvas. Sorry to the UI. Sorry to those that use Unity. You're going to get cross with me calling it a canvas. What can we call it? We'll call it a graph. Graph texture. I'll try and remember to call it a graph texture. So there it is. That's good. Let's start writing the script that's going to do the work on that. So if we just right click here, for now I won't create a subfolder. I'll just create a C# script here, and we'll just call it Maurer Rose, shall we? All right, and we'll just double click on that. And in we go. Let's just maximise that. I hope that's a nice large enough size for you. You can see everything there. I know a lot of you are watching this on smaller screens, so I try and make the font nice and big. Plus my eyesight's not that great, so that might help as well. So let's just think about how we're going to, let's at least start off by creating a colour for it. So we'll do that. We're going to need to give it a texture as well. So let's just quickly do that. Let's just create a material. And then we'll just call that graph material. I'm not happy with that, but there we go. And if we just drag that now onto the quad, I think it will go white. I thought it was going to go white. Do I need to set that to minus? Do I set 180 or anything? No. 90 minus 90. I thought it was going to go white then, but it hasn't. Let's just get that back to 0. 1 second. I told you I messed up, didn't I? Where's my here? Hang on. No, the colour is white. Well, let's just go with it. I think that should be fine. I think we're going to be okay. What we'll do is we'll create in this script here, in the start method here, we'll have we'll get that component. So we'll just say texture, texture 2D. Come on, 2D texture, and here we'll say texture equals new texture 2D. And we'll set a size for it. I found that 1024 by 1024 is a good size for our texture. You can go higher and it actually creates a much finer looking set of lines, but it is a bit slower from the work I've been doing before. So I'll leave that up to you. If you've got a fast computer, it's not terrible. It's just a little bit slower. Okay, and then what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get our kind of renderer for the texture and set that to use this new texture that we've created. So let's just do that now. So let's just say renderer rend or something equals new equals get component renderer. Okay. And what that's going to do, just so you understand, if we just push back to Unity, you'll see that the quad has a mesh renderer here, so we're just basically getting a reference to that and storing it in the rend value, because what we're going to do now is set the texture in this renderer to our new texture that we've just created. So I think all I need to do now is say rend.material.main texture equals texture. Okay, so basically we've created a new reference to it. What I'm going to do, I think actually, is I'll just do that and then right click and do refactor extract method. We'll create let's just try it. See, there we go. So there we go. We'll just say initiate. Yes, that's fine. Initialize texture. I put it in the wrong place, haven't I? But there we go. Okay. And so there we go. That's quite cool. And just drag that down. We'll just pop that down here. Like so. Okay, so we've got our initialized texture. Brilliant. I think what we should do as well is just perhaps give it a color so that we can prove that it is actually working. So we'll say, no, actually what we'll do as well, let's just say int width equals 1024 and int height equals 1024, and then just down here we'll just say width height. Okay, and the reason we're doing that, I'll show you, is because now what we'll do is we'll say for brackets int x equals 0, x is less than width, x plus plus, and then for int y equals 0, y is less than height, y plus plus, close, close, very good. And I think all we need to here say texture dot set pixel, that's the one, x, comma y, comma, let's say color.blue or something, shall we? Just to prove that it works. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going through the entire texture and we're going to set the whole thing to blue. You do need to remember, once you've done that, is say texture.apply. Okay, so now let's just save that. Okay, we've got ourselves a little script here already that's going to create the texture and set it to blue. So let's just spin back to here, and if we get our quad and we drag the script onto here, Maurer Rose, there we go, and let's run it and see what happens. Let's just not do maximize on play, let's just click there. Oh, we're off to a cracking start. There we go, it's gone blue, and just to prove it, we'll just change it to red or something. Okay, always remember to save. There we go, it's working. It's actually not very bright, is it? I'm not sure I care too much. Let's just see how we go with that. But we want color.black, if it needed to be said. Alright, so we've got ourselves a texture, which is really, really good news. So now what we can do with that texture is we can start to work on creating the Maurer Rose itself. So let's just have another one as well. We'll call this void create Maurer Rose. Alright. Now we already saw from our document here that we've got two variables called n and d. So let's set them up here. So we'll just set them to int n equals, I think, 43. No, let me get this around the right way. We'll set n to 4 and int d equals 43. So we've got a couple of values there. Okay, so we know we need those. I'm going to kind of go backwards and forwards. So we've got our value here of theta, and we've got an old x and an old y. Okay, so this is going to go inside the main script here. So what we'll do, I think, just to spin right down to the bottom, what it's actually saying is you loop round until theta is equal to 0. So let's just do this. Let's say here int theta equals 0, semicolon, do, and then we'll say while theta equals 0. That didn't work. Have I spelled theta wrong? Unexpected symbol equals 0, right? I think you might have to put that in brackets actually. That's it. Okay, it's just there in brackets like that. Excuse me. Remember your syntax, Rich. There we go. So we're going to say do while theta is 0. So it's always going to run it at least once and then do the evaluation at once. I don't use do very often. I mostly use while loops now, but this seems to make sense in this example here. Okay, so we're going to have an old x and an old y. So let's just do that. Int old x equals 0, int old y equals 0. Alright, okay, so set 0 to 0 and set old, there you go. Now set theta equal to theta plus d. If theta is greater than 360, replace theta by the remainder obtained when dividing by 360. Crikey, right, that's a big chunky thing to say, isn't it? But what I'll show you is it's not as hard as it looks. We're going to be using mod. Now, I hope you know what this is. If it doesn't, I'll try and explain it to you. So we'll have what we need to do then is actually say yes. So theta equals 0. So we're going to say the following. We're going to say, why are you being a monkey? There we go. Theta equals theta plus d. We know that, right? We saw that here. But it's going to be this mod 360. So what we're saying is here, if it goes above 360, reset it round. And the way you do this is by using the modulus function. And what that does is it divides by a number, but it just simply returns the remainder. So if you had 5 modulus 4, you get 1 because 5 goes into 4 one time with 1 remainder. If you had 6 modulus 4, it would be 2 because 6 goes into 4 once with 2 remainder. Another really good example is if you wanted to check if a number was even, you do that number modulus 2. So if it was even, it would be 0. If it was odd, that modulus would be 1. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. But this isn't going. So this isn't going to work out the box because we need to do the mod against it. So let's just do this. We'll say that, and then I think it's percent. Well, no, it's percent 360. All right, so that's going to say theta plus d percent 360. All right, so that's good. That looks like that's going to work straight away. That's good. Compute n times the new theta. Reduce it to mod 330. Convert the results from degrees to radians and set x equal to the final result. Crikey, right? So we've got some work to do here. So we're going to have a new value, int x equals, so we're going to have n times theta. We saw that, didn't we? Mod 360. So let's just put that in brackets as well. Percent 360. And convert the results from degrees to radians. Okay, well I can tell you how you do that in C#, or at least in Unity. Use the mathf function dot degrees to radians, and that's actually just a float. Okay, so we're effectively doing a multiplication by that to convert the degrees to radians. So there we go. So if we do that, that should give us the radian value of that little monkey there. Right, so if we now look at the next line, can set r equal to the sine of x. Okay, well, that sounds a bit more easy, doesn't it? So it's going to be a float. And hang on, that needs to be a float as well, doesn't it? You can see that because math degrees to radian is a float value. So there we go, we've got float there. So we're going to float r equals mathf dot sine x. Is that right? Okay, and then convert theta from degrees to radian and set t equal to that result. Okay, that should be easy enough as well. So float t equals mathf degrees to radians times theta. Have I got that right? Set t equal to the result. There we go. So we've got t as well. We're flying along here. Okay, so kind of flying. And convert the new point t from polar coordinates to rectangular coordinates. What does that mean? Well, if you look at some of my other videos, what this basically saying is that what we've got right now is a radius and a distance, and we need to convert that into an x and y position. So this is actually quite straightforward. If we just say, I got it around the right way. Excuse me. Polar to rectangular coordinates. And if I just do this, polar to rectangular coordinates, we'll find there we go. You can see that x equals r times cosine of theta, and y equals r times sine of theta. Okay, and you can see here we've got our radius and theta here, right? So I think in our case it's not. So it's r here and t here, r and t. Yeah, so t is theta in this example. Okay, so we converted it to radians. So let's just give that a go. So we'll say int x. Okay, you'll have to bear with me on that one because I don't think it's going to return an integer by default. Equals r times the mathf dot cosine of t. Okay, and I think we need to put that all into a cast, so we'll just say int brackets like that. Okay, int x is not happy with that. Float x. So we'll call this new x, shall we? Int new x. Okay, that's better. Equals int r times mathf cosine t, and let's just copy and paste that because I don't think it's that different for y. Yeah, so it's just do that there. Y, new y, and it's sine, isn't it? Now there's going to be a slight problem because this is only going to return a value between 0 and 1. So we need to have a radius, a real radius that we're going to scan it by. So let's just say now, let's just make the radius equal to 512 because you can see that's half the value. We might want to put that into some sort of code so that it actually works out nicely. So we'll just down here, we'll just say times radius there and times radius there. Exciting times, okay? Yikes. But that, I think, where are we? So we go back over to here. Okay, draw a line from old x to new x. Now, here's a problem because there is no draw line on texture. But if you go to, and if I just quickly find my notes, there is a page that actually, there is a function that does this for us. Mamma mia, where have you gone? Here it is. Okay, so if we just do a search on Chrome, let's bring this over here and we'll just bring a new one up and we'll just say texture draw line. draw line. There we go. I think it's this one. And down here somewhere, there's the JavaScript version, and here's the C# version with a bug. Let's see if you can spot it. Oh, no, I won't make you spot it. It's got X1 and Y1, X2 and Y2 here, but here it's got X1 and Y0. It's very small. Maybe if I copied and pasted that in, you might be able to see a bit better. So I'll just copy and paste that into MonoDevelop. Whip down here. I don't think we're going to need the update method. I know I've had this before. Come on, don't do this to me. Control C. It's being a real monkey. I've had this before, it won't copy things in. I just need it to Control C that. Let's just make sure we're copying it. Copy. Spin over to here. You absolute monkey. Control V does not work in MonoDevelop. I think that's a serious bug. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this. And I'm going to close it. I'm going to load it up in Notepad. What a load of rubbish. Okay, so we'll just open this up. We're going to go to Documents. Documents? No, OneDrive. No. Documents. Unity. What do we call it? Maurer. Sorry about this. If you can work out how to fix this, maybe I'm missing something. Assets. Maurer Rose. There we go. And we'll just go to the bottom here and paste that in, right? now just Control S that. Now, is it going to be kind and update it? Yes, it is. Quality. I need to also format the text, don't I? How do you do that? Set views, format document. I think that's going to mess everything else up, so I might just do format selection. So let's just quickly just grab that lot there and just say view. Where was it? Edit format selection. Okay, there we go. That puts it kind of stepped out correctly. And this is a pretty horrible looking script actually. It's got some binary operations going on, but the good news is it does draw a line between 2 points on a texture, which is exactly what we're after. But you'll notice that this Y0 doesn't exist. So I think what we need to do is you say X0, Y0, X1 and Y1. So let me just quickly make sure that you can see where that page was on the. It's under wiki.unity3d.com texture draw line. Okay, so if you can't find it, it's there, and it has a bug in it that you need to change the variable names in the function call. All right, that seems to work there. Right, so now what we can do here, if I've got this right, is I'm just looking at my notes again. Bear with me. I think all we need to do now is draw that line. So let's do that. So now we just need to say draw line. We know the texture. It's called texture. We created it earlier. So this is the old X. So this is old X. That's it. Comma old Y. Comma new X. Comma new Y. And also, of course, we need to say old X equals new X and old Y equals new Y, so that it basically keeps drawing the lines from point to point. Got it? Good. Okay, it looks pretty hairy, doesn't it? But actually, it's it's only a few lines of code. Oh, don't we need a color on this as well? Yes, we do. So we'll just say color.white. Okay. And now if we just go to up here, gosh, is this going to work off the box? Create Maurer Rose as well. If this works first time, I'm a Dutchman. I don't do a very good Dutch impression. I'm just going to remove the update method because I don't think it's being called. You're a monkey, yeah, you go. I prefer to do my curly brackets on the same line. I figure there's enough noise already, but I know Microsoft don't prefer that. Right. Okay, so how are we looking? I think we're looking pretty close. Let's just save that in here. Let's get spin into Unity, see if it throws any errors. Click on the console. There are no errors. Let's run it. Is it going to return anything? If it is, it's not doing a great job of it. I can't see anything. So what we'll do as well, just to see if it's finishing, is we'll just say here debug.log. Finished. I know what we're doing. What we haven't done as well. We'll just need to say that, and down here we'll just need to say texture.apply, don't we? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's give that a go. It says finished, but there's nothing there. That's annoying. Let me just quickly check my notes, see if anything comes up. Texture apply. At the end, I've drawn the line. I can try adding a texture each time. Let's just quickly try that. Control X and pop it there. I don't think that's going to do it though. Okay, let's try now. Finishes very quickly. Okay, so let me have a quick look. I'll pause this and come back. I'm just not quite sure. 1 second. Okay, I feel like such a fool. You've probably seen it already. If theta's not equal to 0, sorry about that. While theta's not equal to 0, so it's only running once, which is why. So let's just give it a go. I think I added another line up here somewhere. You're probably thinking, what's going on there? Yeah, I just want to prove that the draw line was working, which it is. So let's give it another go. See how that goes. And it's saying finished. Still nothing there. Blast it. Right, okay, hold that phone. Right, wow, okay. What I'd done, actually let me show you what I'd done, is I'd put brackets there and not there. So what was happening was this was rounding down to, because I'd converted to an int, it rounds it down automatically. I needed to get the radius in first, and then round it down to the nearest integer. Okay, like so. So sorry about that, just a little bit of poorly placed brackets. I hope that hasn't spoiled your enjoyment too much. So a couple of little bugs we had to work through, nothing new there for me. Okay, so we've got a new X and new Y. So now let's give it another go. Shift Control S and run back into here and run it. You can see I had some debug and things like that. Okay, so let's run it, and it's running a bit slowly, and there we go. Okay, there's an issue. I can see here. I think the reason for that is because we're not starting in the middle. We're starting kind of top left on 0, 0, which is up there. 0, 0 needs to be here. Not a huge panic. I think the best way we can do that is probably just say something like width over 2. What's the best way to do this? I could get all funky, couldn't I? Let's do it now. We'll just say plus width over 2 there, and we'll just put that on the new Y as well. Okay, new X, excuse me, and then on the old Y it'd be plus height divided by, where'd you go? Height divided by 2, and the same for the new Y as well. Okay, so that's gonna sort of kind of shift it over down and right to the middle point. Okay, so just do that, plus height divided by 2. I think I might just do a semicolon there. There we go, just to clean it all up. Now let's have another look. Have another go now. It's slow, but it is running. There we go, and it completes. Now that's cool, but it kind of it doesn't have the dramatic effect of actually watching it being created. I'd like to do that, so let's do that. And I'll show you the way we're going to do it. What we do up here is actually what I think I'm going to do under Create Maurer Rose. I'm going to call initialize texture in here. Okay, and then what here we'll do is we'll actually, rather than create as a void that just waits until it's finished, we'll run a coroutine. So we say start coroutine brackets create Maurer Rose. Okay, and what that means now is we have to call this has to be an I enumerator. Okay, so it returns an I enumerator. It doesn't have to return anything, but the point being is that when it does a return, it allows the processor to do other things, kind of gives it a bit of a break and allows it to just basically not block the system until it's finished. But it won't do anything right now because we're not returning any areas. So what I think we need to do just here is say yield return null. Now if this isn't making a huge amount of sense, don't panic. There are some videos on coroutines for Unity that probably explain it a lot better than I do, but basically what this is doing is it's taking a pause. It's saying no, go and do something else if you want to, come back to me when you're ready. And by doing that in every loop, you see, it's gonna hopefully, I think, allow the screen to be redisplayed. Hang on, let's just do that after texture.apply, shall we? Okay, let's do that there, like so. Now let's run it and see how that looks. There we go. Okay, I've got some debug.log going up there, which is probably slowing it down a touch. It's a little darker than it was earlier. Not quite sure why that is. Not too bothered. It's very, very pretty, isn't it? Very pretty looking thing. So let's turn off that debug. Let's just comment it out for now. And let's make it so that when you run it, it maximizes on play. Let's have a look. There we go. That's nice. Okay. Good. There we go. And we can try a different value. We know this, change the values of n and d up here. So let's change d to 37. Like I say, I think prime numbers work. The way that n works, I can tell you this now. Is actually it explains it in the paper. But if n is an even number, then there will be double that number of leaves. Yeah. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 as expected. If it's an odd number, there will be exactly that number of leaves. So if I just show you, let's just stop that, and we'll set n equal to 5, and now I'm expecting to see 5 leaves. Kind of a similar pattern though. Let's see. There we go. There's our star. That's cool as well, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, so let's just try now. Low numbers. I love low numbers as well. So let's do 17 and 6, something like that. I rather like this one. It's one of my favourites. It's more of a simplistic one, but it looks rather cool. I like watching it being created. There we go. Something very satisfying about that, isn't there? About it being created. There you go. How cool is that? Am I recording? Please make sure I'm recording. Thank goodness for that. All right. So now we could stop here if we wanted to. I hope I hope that would make sense to you. You can go away and do it. I'd like to maybe add a little bit of features to this as well. So if you want to listen on, we'll add those buttons and things so that you can add them to the add them to the web page and let users make the changes. So let's do that right now. So in order to do this, what we'll do is we'll just take 3D UI, add 3 UI, and we're going to add a input field. Okay, for this to work, we need to go to the scene view. This is where I get a bit cross with this. I really think this system could do with some work. Just zoom right out. It's crazy sized. There. There we go, eventually. And then we should click on this input field here, and then click on the center point, this kind of rect transform anchor presets. Hold the Shift and Alt, and hold the top right one here. And that'll move it to the top right hand side. That'll anchor it to the top right. I already hate this. Okay. Okay, we'll just move it in a little bit. There we go. We'll just by click on that and just do Control D, and that'll duplicate it, and we'll just drag that one down. So we'll just call that one N input field, and the one below it, remove the 1 and just call it D input field. Okay, and those are our 2 fields there. And then we will let's just add some text for the sake of it. UI text. Okay, I can barely see that. That's fine. And then we'll anchor it to the top right as well. Alt Shift. Right, and then we just have to put it into position. I know we can't see it right now. We'll move that in a second, and then we'll just set that to the text in here to be N. Right, we'll make it white, shall we? Click on here, make it white. There. I'm not too worried. You by all means go in and tweak this so that it looks as you'd hope. There we go. And I'll just again, I'll just Control D that. I'm not worried about renaming these ones. There, and we'll just call that D. Okay, so we've got our just D. There we go. So we've got those 2 there. We're going to need a button to press as well, aren't we? So let's just do that. UI button. There we go. Okay. Pop that. No, hang on. Sorry. Click here. Alt Shift. Bang it up there, and then. So when you anchor it like that, by the way, what it's doing is it's saying that if and when you resize it, it will stay in the top right hand side, which I guess is kind of what we're after. And let's just click on that. We'll just call that reload or something, yeah. And should we call it reload button as well, just for the sake of it? Reload button. Right. Okay. Good. So we've got our text variables in there, and let's do the following. Let's go in and into our Maurer Rose here, and we'll have some inputs in here. We need to use the Unity UI package. So this is using Unity Engine .ui, and so we know we've got a couple of input fields, so we'll just include those here. So we'll just say public input field, n input field, and public input field, d input field, and finally public button, reload button. Okay. And what so we've got a reference to these now, but it's actually, if we spin back to our quad here, you'll see them appear. I hope. Be kind. I thought you would. Did I save it? I did. They are public. Look, public. It's got to compile, otherwise it won't work. And pop it down here. You should see. There we go. We've got our new fields here. And what we can do is if we just drag these in to those slots, and the reload button into reload button, like so, we can start doing things with them. So let's just start by saying, we'll say n input field dot text. There we go, equals, I think you have to say something like quotes to get it to make it think it's a string, and then we'll say n input field dot d input field, let's just say text equals plus d, and then change that to d. Alright, so now if we run it now, I'm hoping that these will get set to, what was it, 46 and 17. There we go. We'll just start them at those values. And there you go. You can see they're set to 6 and 17. Great, okay. This is good. Alright, so, and what we now need to do is we'll say, in our create Maurer Rose, we'll just say, you just be thinking about this. So n equals int dot parse in input field dot text, and d equals int dot parse d input field. Okay, so if it changes. Okay, so if the user changes it, then those two values will be stored from these values here. Obviously, if they enter letters in and things, this thing's going to blow up. But for now, we'll just go with that. There's some things we can do around that. I'll show you in a second. So it looks like those. So we can now run this now. Okay, 6. It doesn't do anything. We can change these values, right? Can we? For some reason, I can't change them. Reload's working, but the input fields aren't letting me. Curious. They're not. I don't think they are disabled. Input field. Enter text. Placeholder and text and text. Okay. It's being a bit of a monkey on me. I'll see if I can work out why that is. Let's just hold off maximize on play and just pause it. And unpause it, and just now it's letting me enter it in here. I think something weird's going on. Yeah, something very weird. 4. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, something weird with my computer. Obviously it's not doing anything yet, but we'll work on that in a second. Okay, good. Very cool. So now we just need to say, well, if they click reload, it needs to do something. So we'll just, in our start here, we'll say reload button dot on click dot add listener. All right, and it's going to be delegate. Okay, so call something. Yeah. Let's get rid of those ones and just put bracket semicolon. It's going to be create Maurer Rose. Okay, I think that's correct. So we're saying here, add a listener. If that term gets clicked, then create the Maurer Rose. Now, if I just run that now, stop running it. Thank you. It'll carry on running, and if I just try and change these values, it's just not letting me. I don't know whether that's because it's running super slow or what. This is the most bizarre thing ever. This is working on my laptop, I can assure you. That's not working either. Okay, let's just check console. It's saying finished. I'm not doing something daft, am I? Like constantly sitting in. No, so create Maurer Rose there. Oh, no, that's fine. Don't know. Running it. It's just not letting me tap it. That is the bizarrest thing I've ever seen. So if I just click on here and click on the text, I can probably change it by hand. So if I change it to 8. Okay, now press reload. It's not being very kind to me, this at all. So let's just do this as well. Let's just say debug.log got here. If that doesn't work, it's time for a pause. So it's going to say got here once, isn't it? I'll let it finish. And then run it again. So that's not working either, look. Okay, so what have we got wrong up here? Reload button dot on click dot add listener. Let's just double check that. It's not running it. So let me have a quick pause and see why that's not working. 1 second. Okay, guys, I've fixed it. I'm embarrassed. It's because the text fields were overlapping the input fields, so I couldn't actually enter the text in. That was why. How painful was that? So a couple of things I changed. I added a start coroutine here in the create Maurer Rose here. Let's just put these guys back because that wasn't. I was just trying all sorts of things. Okay, so now. In fact, we can start it as well. I thought maybe I could just do it on the button. Okay, so now if I run it, be so kind. Okay, I've got 6 and 17, and if I just change, let's let it finish, and then we'll just change that to 19. When it's finished, click reload, and we're off. There we go. 19 is rather cool as well, right? Gosh, I'm sorry about that, guys. These little things catch you out, don't they? Okay, that's good, and we've got this working now. Something's going to go wrong here if I put in U or something like that, right? It's going to reload, it's going to blow up, and I think that from that point in, it doesn't matter what you do. 12. Oh no, so there we go. So actually, it will actually work. It won't actually blow up if you type in something silly. Let's just try changing that one to A. Also, by the way, if I do this, I think there we go. It's going to blow up. If we do 5. Then reload, and then we'll do 8 and press reload at the same time. Oh, it overwrites it. I think it's going to do something crazy like try and do 2 at the same time. Yes, you can see it has, look. It's done that there. So what we might want to do on the start coroutine, where has it gone? It's just create Maurer Rose here. We can remove that now. Is say reload button dot enabled. Equals false, and just set that to true at the end. Bit of a pain, but I'll just get rid of that as well now. Equals true. All right, so you can't click it while it's actually running. That's the hope. Did I click it? There we go. Let's try it now. Gosh, those little bugs like that. How annoying! I didn't actually spot that at all. There we go. So it won't let me click reload now. Look, can you see? But hopefully, when it finishes. There we go, I can click reload. I can change the number to 23, but it ain't gonna, let's just do that to 4. Click reload. There we go, rather cool. So we're almost there, guys. Actually, if to be honest with you, we could stop, but why don't we deploy this to the web? I will show you how to do that now as well. So if we just stop this running, and then we'll click on File, Build and Run, and we're going to send this to WebGL. Okay, now we don't have WebGL at the minute, so what we're going to need to do is download it. I'm going to do this in the background. Okay, it's actually very, very simple. It'll just take you here. It downloads the Unity WebGL setup, which I don't think is very big. It's 141 megs, so it's pretty big. So I'm going to get this installed, and then once that's done, I'll show you how to go through it. It's very simple, same as building every other one. I'll be right back. Okay, so that has finished downloading. Before we we need to close it down to Unity down, so let's just save this out here. We just say Control S. We'll call this main. I always like to call the main one main, obviously, and then we'll just close that down there. Okay, I think now we can run this. I suspect this might take a few seconds as well. Let it do its thing. Okay, I'm going to install this. Yeah, so I have a feeling this next bit might take a little bit of time, but we'll just go through it. Okay, I'll pause this, and when it's finished, I will come back. Okay, that has finished. So let's click finish. Be kind. Finish on me. We're recording still. Yep. Well, I'm pressing finish, but nothing's happening. That whole thing has frozen on me. Let's close that down. We'll close you down as well. There we go. We don't want to reload that. Let's just get rid of that. That was our. That was when we had to use blooming Notepad, wasn't it? So let's bring back Unity. Again, this might take a few seconds. I might do a cheeky pause. I might not take too long. Maurer Rose. Nearly there. Okay, and we've got our thing back up here, and now we can do build and run. I think we use here add open scenes. So if you just click on add open scenes, and then go to WebGL, which where have you gone? WebGL near the top now. Okay, we don't want a development build. We just click on build. Now I'm going to do build and run, and this could take a few minutes again, so I'll probably pause it. Depends on your PC. I noticed on my laptop it took about 5 minutes to do it, so I hope you don't have the same pain. But just bear in mind it will run eventually. Click build and run, and just go and get a cup of coffee, which is what I'm going to do now. See you in a minute. Oh, hang on, we've got to select the folder first. Let's put that in the. Let's create a new folder under desktop, shall we? We'll call that. We'll call the folder Maurer Rose, and that's the folder we'll use. Okay, there we go. Pausing and coming back when it's finished. And it's done. Oh my goodness, that took a while. It was managing converted assemblies to C++ took forever, but it's done it. And we can make a full screen on this. Here we go, and start having a play around with it. Let's just set that to 23, and now we're actually running outside of Unity. I think this works on most modern browsers. And there we go. It's working as before. How do I go back? Escape. There we go. I noticed that it's not quite got the positioning right. I'm not quite sure why that is. Can you see? It's actually not cut that off properly. It's fine in full screen if it's there, but when you do escape to exit, it's not in full screen. I'm not going to worry about that right now. The point is there, isn't it? Let's just change that to 43 or something like that. Click on reload and we get a different funky looking design. Okay, I know it's got all this here. For Chrome, it looks as though it's got some sort of security on it that has to be run on an HTTP server. If I go to Firefox, however, so let's just bring up that folder in my desktop, Maurer Rose, here it is. I think if I double click it now, it won't actually let me run it. Do you want this folder? Well, let's try Chrome, yeah, and then click there. It doesn't let me do it, right? But if I just yeah, it's okay. And let's just go over to do it again. Oh, it's done that. Look, that's annoying. Okay, so let's just do open with Firefox, and slowly but surely, I hope. That works fine. Let's just maximise it. A bit slow, but it's working. Am I recording? Yes, I am. Here we go. Made with Unity. That's the sort of thing that if you pay 150, if you pay the money, they'll remove that for you. And there we go. Same problem though. It's not quite fitting in there. Fits in fine in full screen though. I like the way it zooms in and out. Lovely. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop there. Please let me know how you get on. Please, if you've got any questions, let me know. If you need the code posted, let me know as well. Maybe I can add this as a package somewhere that you can have a play with. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I love you guys. You write some beautiful comments on there. Not always positive, but mostly positive. And it's always good to hear that. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers now. Bye-bye.